Warning: the cognitive processes depicted in this film are simplified metaphors to demonstrate the RI-Val model and are not the real occurrences that happen in your brain. Please take topics in cognitive psychology or contact a trusted cognitive psychologist for a more detailed understanding. If you have human beings walking around in your brain, please contact a trusted physician.
Teacher, Miss Sowers, Joe, and Shakina are in the classroom. It is an English class, and today the class is individually reading their new book.
Okay, people, let's listen up. We're going to start, and we're going to take the entire class today to read our new book. So let's get started.
Oh, I don't even want to read this. I've never read science fiction. I just want to keep scrolling through TikTok. Guess I'll just open up to a random page and start looking up.
Putting his football underneath his arm, Arlo took off his helmet and found there was no oxygen in the air to breathe. In that moment, he knew he was in trouble.
Whatever, I'm over this. I don't understand this.
Shakina, on the other hand, loved reading and started right from the beginning of the book.
I love science fiction. Can't wait to dig into this one.
Millions of light years away was a planet not unlike Earth, the only difference being all countries were unified under the central control of aliens from the neighboring planet of Zanvestia. For thousands of years, there were rumors of the Zanvestians shutting off Earth's atmosphere. Due to this rumor, it became customary for the people of the planet to wear space helmets. Despite this practice, most did not believe this would happen and went on with their everyday lives.
Whatever. Nice flow.
One day, Arlo was outside playing football with his friend Audrey. After an intense round of passing the ball back and forth, Arlo wanted some water.
Go get some water.
Putting his football underneath his arm, Arlo took off his helmet and found there was no oxygen in the air to breathe. In that moment, he knew he was in trouble.
Fascinating. I understood everything I read. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Interesting how Joe was confused, but Shakina understood perfectly. Let's see why this happened. Resonance.
Wow, it's a mess in here.
As Joe reads the target sentence, he is passively sending an unrestricted and dumb signal to all of memory. With this, all information related to the content he is reading, both from general world knowledge and context of the text, have the potential to resonate. The information that resonates to a certain threshold will become activated regardless of how relevant it is. Integration. Okay, now that there is enough information that can be operated upon in working memory, Inner Joe can now try to form linkages between the content he is reading and the information from his general world knowledge and contextual representation in order to try to make sense of the story. As we can see, since Joe had no previous contextual information about this story or context of science fiction in general, he was not able to bring forward any previous science fiction related context. So he was only able to activate general world knowledge.
I'm so confused. I understand the football part, but why can't he breathe? Earth has oxygen, doesn't it?
Joe is confused. Joe is able to connect the elements that overlap with general world knowledge, such as football and helmet. However, there is not a high enough level of semantic overlap for the science fiction related elements to fit together with general world knowledge. Because of this, Joe tries to link his general world knowledge understanding of the Earth's atmosphere having oxygen with Arlo's experience of not having air to breathe. Joe also interprets helmet as football helmet instead of space helmet. All of this results in Joe not fully understanding what is happening in the text. Validation. Next, Inner Joe needs to check these linkages to see if the linkages are accurate. In the passive pattern matching mechanism of this process, Inner Joe checks these links against knowledge in memory. Since Joe formed links about football, these general world knowledge related linkages can be checked and validated.
Yep, they're accurate.
The problem occurs when Joe tries to validate the science fiction concept of Arlo having no oxygen in the air with Joe's reactivated general world knowledge understanding that the Earth's atmosphere does, in fact, have oxygen. This inaccurate match will result in a validation failure and will cause reading comprehension difficulty. Now, let's see what happened in Shakina's brain. Resonance. A similar resonance process occurs within Shakina's brain. The information that resonates to a certain threshold will become activated regardless of how relevant it is. In Shakina's case, she has much more science fiction contextual information since she read background information before the target sentence. This means that she is able to activate concepts not only from her general world knowledge, but also from her contextual representation of earlier portions of the text. This contextual representation from earlier parts of the story is something that Joe did not have since he only read the target sentence, so Shakina will be able to activate more helpful information that will assist her in further processing than Joe was able to. Integration. Okay, now that there is enough information that can be operated upon in working memory, Inner Shakina can now try to form linkages between the content she is reading and the information from her general world knowledge and contextual representation in order to try to make sense of the story. Shakina has a decent amount of both general world knowledge and contextual information that she was able to activate. This will help her in the integration stage.
This is all aligning perfectly.
Shakina understands. There is a high enough level of semantic overlap for the current science fiction related context to fit together with her general world knowledge and previous contextual information. Because of this, she is able to understand that Arlo's helmet was a space helmet. She could understand why Arlo wasn't afraid to take off his helmet,
Whatever.
why he had a hard time breathing when he took it off, and could understand why this meant serious trouble. Validation. Next, inner Shakina, like inner Joe, needs to check these linkages to see if the linkages she formed are accurate.
Are these linkages accurate? Does this make sense? Is this true?
In the passive pattern matching mechanism of this process, inner Shakina checks these links against her knowledge and memory. Since Shakina successfully linked the target sentence information to general world knowledge and previous contextual information, these linkages can be checked and validated. She can do this because she has spent time building up the context and can draw on this information to validate these ideas.
Yahoo! My linkages are valid.
These accurate matches will result in validation success, and Shakina will not experience comprehension difficulty.
Well, looks like I'm gonna spark nuts this.
This video is sponsored by
Aha! I'm okay. I'm sorry. It's not gonna work.
Voila!